In this video, I'm going to talk about a time frame and budget for Web3 development. I'm going to look at a very generalized project with maybe 10 Solidity smart contracts and 1,000 lines of code and a kind of decentralized application front end and then an external security audit. And I'm going to look at how long that would take to complete and how much it would cost. My name is James Buccini. On this channel, I create content about blockchain development and decentralized finance. If you're interested in learning more, then subscribe to the channel and hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm. This is a very simple plan for a Web3 development project, and it's broken up into front-end and back-end developments and then an external security auditor. So weeks 1 and 2, we mainly look at the specifications. There's going to be discussions with the full team, the founders, the stakeholders of the project to get an idea of what's required and their kind of vision for the project so that the developer or the main developer that's organizing it will know how he's got to kind of proceed and what's going to be required. Once that's done, we go into weeks 3 and 4, which is prototyping. Some of this can kind of overlap with a research and development stage when you can kind of do experiments and see if we can get kind of a rough and ready prototype or a proof of concept at the smart contract level. Weeks 5 and 6, we start to refactor that code. So the Solidity developer will take the prototype, the proof of concept, and take that rough model and start to iron it out. This is where things like commenting the code, tidying things up, linting, starting to do things like gas optimizations and carefully considering each and every function to make sure that it's optimal. Weeks 7 and 8 are spent unit testing and system testing by the Solidity developer. By this point, there's not much is going to change unless something's really wrong with the contracts themselves. So it's a good time to start thinking about the front end and maybe bringing on an external contractor to start working on developing that front end application. This will be done using something like React to build a web application which acts as an interface for the Solidity smart contracts. It's what the end user will see. So a lot of the work needs to go into kind of wireframing and the design work from the front end developer to make sure it's good. On weeks 9 and 10, we start to look at a testnet deployment. The back-end code can be deployed to a testnet so that the front-end engineers have something to connect up to. They'll use a library like ethers.js to connect to that Solidity smart contracts which are deployed on an external testnet so that everyone can kind of work on them together and interact with them via the Web3 front end. By weeks 11 and 12, the testnet's been deployed, the front end's kind of more or less ready. We start thinking about getting an external security auditor in. This is someone that will come in from an external company and they'll look at the code, mainly the smart contract code, purely from a security perspective. They're looking at what can go wrong and how it can get hacked. This is invaluable to a contract that's going to be handling user funds. Weeks 13 to 14, the security audit should be done, and there's going to need to be a little bit of time for the main kind of Solidity developer to go through that audit and look at the recommendations and kind of implement security fixes in line with their recommendations. Once that's all done, it's time to deploy the code to the mainnet, kind of set up liquidity pools and maybe launch a token and do whatever else. By that time, there's a lot of kind of marketing activities going on, and it's kind of very stressful and everything's going on for everyone in the team. From this very generalized time frame, we can create an even more generalized budget for this Web3 project. We look at the kind of average salaries of Web3 developers in the space, and then use that along with kind of a mid-tier auditing firm to get a kind of rough budget price for completing something like this. Note that auditing firms can vary in cost greatly. I've had quotes from $3,000 to $120,000 all for the same code base. A lot of it depends on the experience of the firm that you're dealing with. I'd recommend looking at previous reports to get a feel for kind of what value they're delivering through their audits for previous clients. In this budget, we've got a blockchain developer for 14 weeks, that's $70,000, a front-end contractor for 6 weeks, that's $15,000, and a security auditor for 2 engineer weeks, which is $30,000. Total cost will be $115,000. Note there are other costs as well, which haven't been accounted for here. So some of the big ones are marketing costs. Like you can spend almost anything you want on marketing, and there's a very real chance if you build something great that unless you have a good marketing budget, you're not about to build the hype and the community around it to actually get it off the ground. A lot of the time people build things and just no one cares. Another kind of big cost in DeFi particularly is with liquidity provisioning. If you want to create a market for your token, you need to kind of have some liquidity pools in place, and that can be quite expensive to set up. Note this isn't for accurate budgeting, and every project's different. It's going to have a different time frame and costs involved. but this should give you an idea of the rough kind of process that a Web3 development project will go through. I hope this has been of interest. If you're interested in learning more about blockchain development and decentralized finance, then subscribe to the channel and please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you for watching.